The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hoop Ballers! Are you ready? Here we go, let's break it down. It's the Box Score Breakdown podcast, Hoop Ball's own Box Score Breakdown. Hey everyone, I'm Josh Millman. You might be confused because my voice is a little sexier than usual. I'm recovering from flu-like symptoms. You know, the way it goes. But no load management here. We're going to truck on and bring you some box scores. Because even though I sound like Barry White, I can't get enough of those box scores, babe. With me, as always, the one and only Curt Beach. Curt, what's up, dude?
What's up, Josh? I'm living the dream. How you doing?
I've been feeling better, man. You sound way more dreamy than I do. So you keep living that dream, dude.
Yes, sir. I'm just glad they didn't load manage you tonight. You're long.
No. We're all professionals here.
Yeah, you're gonna have that 82 game
and the
season.
show must go on. All right, dude. Are you ready to get into some box scores?
You know it. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. Before we do, let's do our usual house cleaning. This is a Hoop Ball broadcast, hoop-ball.com. So check us out online. And we, of course, have some amazing sponsors. And they are the Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. So this podcast, like all of our shows, brought to you by our title sponsor, Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. Check out their website at hawaiianisles.com, on Amazon by searching for Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee, or on Twitter at HI Kona Coffee. And also check out mybookie.ag. We love putting a few dollars on these basketball games. So if you are interested in doing that, why not go check out mybookie.ag, our online betting partner here at Hoop Ball. Sign up for a new account and use the promo code TODAY, TODAY, and MyBookie will match your first deposit up to $1,000. Head there now, and that's mybookie.ag, and the promo code is the word TODAY. Also, Manscaped, our newest partner at Hoop Ball, is manscaped.com, the premier website for male specialty grooming products. Use the promo code HoopBall on your first or on your purchase to get 20% off and free shipping. It's a hell of an offer. Great products. Check out the lawnmower. I'm a manscaper myself. I love it, and you'll love it too. Game Time Premium's also full effect. There's still time. We're only 2.5 weeks into the season, so if you want access to us, you want access to all the pros, live video Q&A shows every week, the best analysts, guys like Dan Bespris, Panda, Mike Passador, Neil Rochlani, Adrian Benjamins, myself, Curt, everyone, Eric Ong, Sorio, all of us. Go sign up for Game Time Premium. Click on the Premium tab at the top of the Hoop Ball nav bar, and make sure you use the coupon code DOC when you're checking out, and you'll save $350. Curt, we got a lot of basketball we got to cover.
We certainly do.
We got a niner tonight. A niner. It's not as bad as it was last week. We got load management. We've got crazy injury news. And, of course, some star-studded performances. We will start with, how about we just, again, as usual, we'll just go in chronological order. I'll introduce us with the Detroit Pistons beating the New York Knickerbockers 122-102. So why don't I kick us off with the Knicks, which, I don't know, I guess is fitting for my tone of voice right now because I can't stand the Knicks. And I'm sure I'll have plenty of snide comments to make about these box scores. So I'll run through the Knicks. We'll pass it over to Curt to handle the Pistons. Leading scorer for the Knicks, Julius Randle, 20 points. Not a whole lot else, though. Steal and a block, which is good, but only 3 boards and 2 assists. He did shoot 3 of 5 from deep, and the percentages weren't bad. It's a bit of a mixed bag for Randle in this one. Marcus Morris, 18 points. 4 boards, an assist, 3 steals, but he was not the best Morris on the floor tonight, and we'll get to that. Mitchell Robinson left a little bit early, though. He had a concussion, so he only played 8 minutes. I was expressing my frustration to a family member about Mitchell Robinson's playing time. Sure enough, he exited like right then and there. So he only got in 8 minutes, 6 points, 4 boards and assists. So we'll just have to kind of swallow this one up to him suffering a concussion. We'll have to see how he is moving forward. Because the Knicks are bereft at point guard, Frank Ntilikina is still starting and playing 39 minutes. He's only 5 of 7 from the floor for 11 points. He did chip in 3 blocks and a steal. He is a defensive kind of specialist after all. 4 assists. This is really, it seems like Dennis Smith Jr. is close to returning. So I think that, his days of providing value are just about over. RJ Barrett, also another mixed bag. 15 points, 8 assists, 6 boards, 2 steals. Nice counting stats. His percentages are just awful. 4 of 12 from the floor and 6 of 11 from the line. He's been a liability with percentages. And I think that's a theme that's going to persist throughout the year. So there's a bit of a buyer beware. I think points leaguers must love him, but for us in any sort of 8-9 cat format, those are killer percentages. From the bench, Kevin Knox played 27 minutes, 14 points and a couple steals. Taj Gibson 22 minutes off the bench. Bobby Portis 21, mostly useless minutes for this team. And again, if you can't tell that I'm just dripping with sarcasm when it comes to the Knicks, you see why. They've been getting demolished in most of these games. They're short. Not only are they shorthanded, they're just simply not playing well. I don't have a whole lot to add to the Knicks. So, Curt, why don't you take us over to the Pistons?
Alrighty. The only thing I want to add on the Knicks is Marcus Morris. It's a pretty sad day when the person I trust the most on the Knicks is Marcus Morris. Man, I was hesitant to touch this guy in any league, and he's having a great season. I mean, he's not super special, but if Fizdale's going to trot him out there for 30-plus minutes a game, he's number 30. Prior to tonight, he was number 30 on the season in 9-cat. That's ridiculous. It'll drop off, so probably sell high if you got him. He could be the guy sitting on the bench the next game. You never know in New York. So, I don't know. Try to sell him if you got him. Maybe try to buy low on Mitch Rob. His lackluster season continues. So, maybe if the owner isn't savvy and they're just looking at the line, maybe you could swing a buy low offer. Other than that, let's check out this team from Motown. Marcus Morris's brother, Markieff Morris, had one of his better games filling in for Blake. He had 22 and 4 with 5 assists, 2 steals, and 4 threes. Good game for Morris. I wouldn't expect this to continue with Blake's return on the horizon. Tony Snell was a perfect 9 of 9 from the field and 6 of 6 from 3 for 24 points, a steal, 2 assists, and a rebound. I'm not buying. We all know Tony Snell. He's not a standard league guy. Andre Drummond, the number 1 guy in fantasy as of actually prior to this game. Number 1 guy in fantasy. Never thought I'd say that. He's a great guy to own, but usually the free throw percentage brings him down. He's hitting 66% on the season, so he's not even killing you there anymore. 27 and 12 with 7 assists and a steal. 12 of 16 from the field. He's giving you a monster season. Blake hasn't been playing, so he's been carrying a lot of the load, and Blake's set to return. So I kind of would say he's a sell high, but there's not going to be too much of a drop-off. At points last year, he was the number 5 guy in fantasy, and that was with the bad free throw percentage. So there could be a dip. You could try to sell high, but honestly, who are you even going for that somebody's going to bite on? You're probably not getting Harden for him. Maybe somebody could give you Cat because they're just looking at the rankings. Maybe Giannis. Hard to say. Luke Kennard, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and a 3. I got to say, I've been somewhat surprised by Luke Kennard. I don't own him anywhere, and I always look at him as just a points and threes kind of guy. The 7 assists, 9 rebounds, I don't think you can expect those kind of stats to continue, maybe 2 or 3 in that area. but he's having a surprisingly nice season. Bruce Brown started 34 minutes, 9 points, 6 assists, and a steal. He's kind of a popular pickup right now. Christian Wood came off the bench. He comes and goes, 7 points, 8 rebounds, a steal, and a block. Not a standard league guy. Honestly, nobody on the bench here is a standard league guy. Maybe deep leaguers, you could stream Langston Galloway for threes. D. Rose was out this game. Really, that's about all I have on the Pistons, Josh. What did I miss?
No, I think you got it. I'm with you. The one really solid game out of Markieff Morris. Don't expect that to continue. And just to clarify, Andre Drummond, number 1 in total value across 9 cats. So
yes.
Just want to make sure that we're there. Just on total value for the whole year. So yeah, it does make it a bit of a dicey proposition when it comes to trade talk. Just how you end up positioning that. So I hear you there, man. Let's move on. The Indiana Pacers taking on the Washington Wizards. The Pacers win 121-106. Another crazy kind of box score, if you will. We'll start with the Wizards. Brad Beal, 30 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, a whole lot of nothing in terms of defensive stats and only a single three-pointer. He's been a little bit frustrating. I mean, we expected the usage to be big, and it has, and the scoring to be high, and that's the case, and the minutes high, and the percentages have been kind of less than stellar. There hasn't been a whole lot of other counting stats. I think he's kind of just struggled a whole lot. I think he's been trying to carry a lot of load. He's not even a top 50 guy on a per game basis. So there's room for him. He might be a pretty decent buy low candidate because I don't think these percentages are going to persist. And there's clearly room for growth with him. Thomas Bryant, moving on from Beal, had a nice night. 20 points, 11 boards, 2 assists. Also no defensive stats, but 6 of 10 from the floor we like. And even better, 7 of 7 from the line. We like that as well. Solid night for Thomas Bryant. Excellent job by him. Isaiah Thomas, starting point guard now for the Wizards. He's also been a pretty hot pickup, but this was kind of a lackluster night for him. Only 10 points on 3 of 10 shooting in 20 minutes. 2 3-pointers, 4 assists, and a whole lot of nothing else. I'm sure there'll be better days ahead for him, for IT. But this was not a great game for him. But I would say hang on to him for sure. Rui Hachimura. This was also kind of a lousy game for Rui. He's had such an outstanding start to the season, but he put up a dud here. 0 points on 0 of 5 shooting in 21 minutes. 8 boards, an assist, and just a whole lot of nothing else. This was that's a frightening line. But I wouldn't panic here. I think the Pacers were kind of up big in this one. So I wouldn't read too much into this and some of the struggles on these guys. I think we know what we're getting with guys like Beal, guys like Bryant, and Hachimura was a good late round pickup and has delivered some solid double lines with decent percentages. So I wouldn't fret too much about Rui. Other guys of note, Isaac Bonga, again, he's a guy. Don't pay any mind to him. He also had a 0-point dud in this one in 11 minutes. Davis Bertans still plays a lot of minutes off the bench. Not a great night, but not really anything to kind of pay too much mind to. 11 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, a steal, 3 of 6 from deep, 50% from the floor. Look, he's not the worst kind of pickup, but he's kind of a guy that, like in a 12 or 14 team league, or if he's there, you play him. If you don't, you don't. It's not the end of the world. But his minutes are pretty stable. You could do worse with him because he can chip in from deep and provide you some decent counting stats. In some other interesting lines, Troy Brown Jr., who looked like he was about to pick up a lot of steam, and the Wizards had a lot of faith in him going into the season before his injury. Also didn't have a great line. 7 points on 3 of 9 shooting, 2 boards, and again, Not a whole lot else. Again, we could probably just chalk this one up to this game was really headed in Indiana's direction early on, and we could just chalk that one up to let's cold shooting night, and let's just pack our things and move on to the next one. And I just want to point out Mo Wagner, 8 points and 7 boards and 6 fouls in 14 minutes. I feel like the last time we spoke, he had something like 6 fouls and 5 turnovers in 14 minutes, and he almost did it again. He fouled out in 14 minutes. That's pretty impressive to pull off each night we do the box score breakdown. So keep it up, Mo. I appreciate it. Curt, what else you got for me?
The only thing I got is IT. Like you said, he's been a nice pickup. I think he's still on the minutes limit, so just 20 minutes out there. If you got him, hold on. He could be one of the pickups of the year. How about we jump over to the Indiana Pacers? First off, we have Domantas Sabonis, 13 points, 7 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals, a block. He did this in only 28 minutes before fouling out. Miles Turner was out today. He's still working through his injury. He was supposed to be week to week, but a silver lining is that we've been getting questionable, doubtful tags for him, and he's been getting ruled out before the games start. So if you're looking for a silver lining there, it looks like he's being considered to play, so he might be able to beat that timeline. TJ Warren had another strong game, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, 2 threes. Jakar Sampson made an appearance, 14 points, 6 rebounds, an assist, 2 steals, and a block. Don't pick him up. He's going to vanish when Turner comes back. Malcolm Brogdon's strong season continues, albeit on some not so great shooting today, but still 12 points, 13 assists, and a steal. Aaron Holiday got the start here. 18 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist, 3 threes. That's probably not something that's going to continue. Lamb was out today, so I think he jumped into his spot. If you're in a deep league and you have something on the end of your bench, you can take a flyer on him. Off the bench, Doug McDermott chipped in 19 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, 4 threes. This isn't happening on a regular basis. Don't put a whole lot of stock into that. Other than that, TJ Leaf, who had about a 15 and 13 double-double this weekend, we said don't look at him. He was DNP-CD, so again, not worth your time. If you streamed Goga Batadze, he's having a decent week for you so far. He got you the 4 blocks yesterday, I believe it was. 13 points today, 3 rebounds, an assist, a 3. No blocks this time, but it's a 4-game week. Unless Turner comes back, you're probably going to be happy with that streamer option. Josh, what did I miss?
Well done, sir. Like you said, Miles Turner coming back, and he should be back fairly soon. I think he was close to playing today, but they opted against him coming back in. He changes the dynamic of things. Obviously, when Jeremy Lamb comes back, he changes the dynamic of things. But for now, don't worry about Aaron Holiday. Don't worry about Jakar Sampson. Goga is the one guy that I'm actually kind of curious about how he fits in with Miles Turner coming back, only because we've seen what he can do with both full minutes and limited minutes. And he's one of those guys, because if you get a bunch of blocks in a short period of time and he can just chip in 6 to 8 points and, just 4 or 5 boards in 15 minutes, that can make your night. And he can clearly do that in a limited amount of minutes. So I'm intrigued by potentially holding him, because Miles Turner isn't exactly the bastion of great health. So I would hang on to him if you picked him up, just to see how things shake out. And if he gets buried, you drop him, no big deal. But I'm actually really intrigued, and I think that he made a lot of believers out of the Pacers brass. We will jump over to our next game. The Chicago Bulls beating the Atlanta Hawks 113-93. Both teams were on a back-to-back, and only one team showed up for this one. The Bulls winning by 20. And of all the Bulls to pick, Thomas Satoranksy would not be the one for me to choose to go absolutely ham in this one, but he did. 27 points, 8 assists, 7 boards. 4 of 5 from deep, 10 of 13 from the floor, a monster line. And it just goes to show you that it's anyone's guess as to how this backcourt can play out sometimes. Some days Levine is blowing up. Sometimes it's Satoranksy. Kobe White played 30 minutes off the bench, it still contributed, but, not his best line. Dunn still gets some time. It's just trying to figure out that situation is bizarre. But obviously Satoranksy with the minutes, that's a good thing. He really struggled to start the year. We know he has top 100 upside. But as long as he keeps playing, I guess he's pretty solid, but just don't expect lines like this all that often. Lauri Markkanen, 17 points, 3 blocks, which is nice, 5 boards, 4 assists. He's really cooled off since that crazy start to the season. This isn't a horrible line. I think, and again, with the game really out of hand, he did play 34 minutes, but with the game out of hand, there wasn't really a huge need for a big scoring explosion. So solid game all around for Lauri. One thing to note, Otto Porter Jr. left this game with a foot injury, but I do want to point out his stat line. 13 points, 2 steals, a block, 2 assists, 4 boards in only 12 minutes. This is why we advise you not to drop Otto Porter, because that is a full line, a solid line, a very typical Otto Porter line. Again, on 5 of 6 shooting with 3 or 4 from deep. He is very, very capable of doing that in a short period of time. He doesn't need a lot of minutes to deliver full lines, and it's just a matter of him staying healthy and getting into rhythm. And he was starting to heat up a little bit. And hopefully this foot injury doesn't keep him out long term. Wendell Carter Jr. Was in a lot of foul trouble tonight. Only 2 points, 2 blocks. Let's just chalk this up to a bad game and move on. Like we said, Kobe White played 30 minutes off the bench for 10 points and 3 assists. Chris Dunn as well, 20 minutes, 13 points and 5 steals. So a really nice line for him off the bench as well. Curt, talk to me. What else did we miss on the Bulls side?
The only thing I got, like you said, about Porter, that's crazy. That's probably one of the best stat lines you could possibly see for only playing 12 minutes, unless it's coming from a guy named Karl Anthony Towns. I think with this injury, owners who are already fed up, maybe at the end of the rope, if he's going to miss some time, he's going to start popping up probably on some waiver wires. We've seen it already a little bit. He doesn't look fantastic this year, but like Josh said, we know his stat set. We know he can be a great guy. He can be a 4th round type of guy. So if he does get dropped, make the smart play and pick him up.
Yeah, don't drop Otto, guys. That's my
don't
PSA.
Drop him.
Don't drop Otto.
Alrighty, how about these Atlanta Hawks? So Trae Young is back with us again. Surprisingly, he only missed 1 game after what looked like a terrible injury. Some of the projections were saying he could be out a couple months. So if you own Trae, especially after his hot start to the season, you're stoked to see that he's still out there and only end up missing 1 game. What's more, John Collins is now out, the second guy, well, I guess actually 3rd guy this year to be knocked out for 25 games for violating the NBA's anti-drug policy. So Trae is going to go ham, but it's a little bit, he's going to shoot a lot more. His usage is going to have to be higher. The only thing is, now without John Collins to throw the dunks, the easy lobs to, his assists might come down a bit, and also he's going to draw more attention on defense, so his field goal percentage might come down a bit. But in terms of the threes and the total points, he's going to be pretty fun to own, just he's going to hurt you in a few categories. Jabari Parker, who was one of the hottest pickups in the last couple days, filling in for John Collins. He had 18 points, 5 rebounds, an assist, 2 steals, a block, and a 3 in 29 minutes. Lots and lots of hype on him in the last couple days. He's definitely a guy worth grabbing and picking up, but I wouldn't expect these cash counters all the time. Usually he's a points and rebounds kind of guy. Alex Len, you would think that he'd play a little more. He played 11 minutes, and that was about it. Cam Reddish got a start for 5 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist, and a triple. And honestly, beyond that, there wasn't a whole lot going on from the starters. DeAndre Hunter, who had a solid game the other night, had 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. He's been up and down. the guy that I was excited about, and obviously not one of the first people who comes to mind as a pickup, and he's probably not even a deep league guy right now, but it was Bruno Fernando. His stat set is pretty cool. He could be a strong big, but the minutes aren't there. I thought maybe they'd play him more. I don't know, at the 4 or the 5, he'd soak up some more of those minutes. He had a better line tonight than the other night. 10 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 assists and a steal. Still not a standard league guy. If you're in probably a 16-team league, you could maybe take a flyer on him. Vince Carter, 14 points, 5 rebounds, an assist, a steal, 3 threes. Did this in 16 minutes. Good for Vince, still trucking along. Not a standard league guy, though. Maybe 14, 16-teamers, you could look at him. Kevin Huerter, I thought I saw before the game that they were going to let him play as many minutes as he could handle today, and I thought I read something about 30 to 35. He ended up getting 24, 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a 3. He's kind of in the same boat as Luke Kennard for me, where it's usually going to be points and threes and negligible stats across the board. DeAndre Bembry, 9 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Not much else. I think that's about all I have on the Atlanta Hawks. Josh, did I miss anything?
No, look, I agree with you on the Fernando front. Collins is out for another 24 games, I think, 24, 23, whatever it is. And Alex Len is not a good NBA basketball player. He should not be a starting center. He impressively was a minus 12 in 11 minutes, and it just wouldn't shock me because, Jabari Parker, like you said, he's a hot pickup, and I don't blame you, but like the defensive cash counters aren't always going to be there, and they're going to need some size on this team, and Fernando can provide that. So, like you said, not a lot of minutes yet, and he played 21 tonight and delivered a pretty decent line. If those minutes creep up, he should be on people's radars. So just keep your eye on him. I'm definitely intrigued by that.
Yeah, when he went down, I got to be honest, I didn't even think Jabari Parker. I got the Woj bomb saying Collins is out 25 games, and I immediately ran to 2 12-team leagues and dropped my bottom guy for Bruno. I was that excited, hoping that he would fall into bigger minutes. It wasn't there yesterday, but an improvement today. Absolutely keep an eye on this guy.
Love it. Love it, love it. All right, moving on to the Dubs and the Rockets. The Rockets win 129 to 112. I'm sure that when ESPN had this game booked for an 8 o'clock start, I don't think that they had a matchup of Harden and Westbrook against Glenn Robinson III and Eric Paschall and Kai Bowman in mind. With no Steph Curry, no Draymond Green, and no D'Angelo Russell, we were left with the Warriors' kind of mop-up crew as they've been playing for the last few weeks now. The Warriors starters kind of had a rough go. It was actually the bench that kind of carried things. Your leading scorer was actually Alec Burks, who had 28 points and 8 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals on 10 of 18 shooting in 31 minutes. This just goes to show you that, look, the Warriors are going to end up getting, having the bottom end of the stick until both Draymond Green gets back and D'Angelo Russell. Even when D'Angelo Russell gets back, they're still going to get the short end of the stick. But Draymond comes back, and then ultimately later in the year, Steph. It's going to be anyone's guess as to who gets run, who gets hot, and I'm sure that Kerr is going to try to find guys who can fill in some minutes. So I'm not surprising that Alec Burks was the hot hand tonight, and they just rolled with it. To the tune of a big scoring night, a good and a solid box score for him. Eric Paschall, 19 points, 6 boards, 3 assists. Not a whole lot else. Actually, it was kind of a quiet-ish night for him. He did play 34 minutes, but only shot 6 of 15. Perfect from the stripe, but not much on the defensive end for him. Glenn Robinson III, 15 points, 11 boards. Nice double-double for him on 6 of 13. But really also not a lot of defensive stats either. I guess he's an interesting guy if he can, give you some decent percentages, some points, some counting stats. But I wouldn't look to him for a whole lot of defensive stats either. And again, his value really is only there as long as Draymond Green is out. Willie Cauley-Stein, 4 points, 4 boards, 2 assists. You would think of all people, Willie Cauley-Stein, who's actually former high draft pick and former starting center for the Kings, would step in and start delivering some decent scores on a team that desperately needs it. But that's all for naught. So a lousy line for him, and his minutes have really been capped at 20. Even though there is absolutely no big man on this team to speak to, with Kevon Looney also hurt. Omari Spellman had a pretty nice night though. 13.7 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals on 6 of 6 shooting. That might boost him into the next game. You never know. And Marcus Chris, 13 minutes, 4 points, 1 steal, an assist, and 7 boards. He had a lot of preseason hype, but it just hasn't carried over into the regular season. I think this reclamation project has gone by the wayside. Curt, anything you want to add on the Warriors side before we move on to the Rockets?
What I'll add is just if you have Draymond Green or D'Angelo Russell, you're carrying a lot of risk if you expect them to keep going forward and maintain wherever you drafted them, 3rd, 4th round value all season. This Warriors team is obviously going to be really bad, and they're going to rest them any chance they get. We've even heard talks that maybe they'll consider a trade for D'Angelo. So when they come back, if they have a couple big games, I mean, it depends on your risk tolerance. If I own them, which I don't, and they have a couple big games, I'm trying to sell them while I can. These youngsters, it's going to be them running the show for most of the season. If you picked up Kai Bowman, even though he had a quiet line tonight, he's been getting big minutes, 36 tonight, 39 I think a couple nights ago. I'm sure he'll take a hit when D'Angelo comes back, but like I said, if you can afford to hold on, he might be a really good value. What about these Houston Rockets? All these guys got tons of minutes tonight. PJ Tucker, 38 minutes, 9 of 14 from the field, 4 of 8 from deep for 22 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. He was already having a great low-key season, and we keep saying, the shooting's bound to regress toward the mean eventually. It just hasn't happened. And this guy's just tearing it up. I think he's definitely a sell high. Daniel House played 39 minutes, 17 points, 5 threes, 6 rebounds, and assists. No defensive stats, but also no turnovers. I think he's going to be a very valuable ad. Clint Capella, probably his best game of the season. 19 points, 16 boards, 6 blocks, a steal. He's been a little up and down, kind of a buy low guy. This is more of what you drafted him for, probably definitely on the higher end of what you're going to expect from him. Russell Westbrook didn't get his triple-double tonight, but he had 18, 8 and 6 with 2 steals. James Harden, they were trotting him out there even when the game was already out of reach. 36 points, 13 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks, 4 rebounds, 6 threes. Great game for Harden. Off the bench, there's really not much to speak of. Unless you're in a very deep league, you could maybe look at Austin Rivers. He got 12 points, 4 threes, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. If you're in a 14, 16 teamer, maybe you could look to him. Otherwise, there's nothing on the bench here. Josh, what did I miss?
Well, Russell Westbrook, I think, left this game early. I think he suffered or something, or I thought I saw that he had left the game early. So that's something we may have to monitor. But I think that's the reason why that he didn't get the full kind of stat line that we're used to. I'm looking to see if there was any sort of news update on him, but it didn't seem like that he made it the full go. But just something that we'll have to monitor. He came up limping at one point. But like you said, look, I remain bullish on House. I remain bullish on Tucker. I mean, Tucker, I don't know that those lines are sustainable. But these guys now, they play like you said, they play their starters heavy minutes. And it seems like, especially a guy like House, it seems like he's locked in now. And to get 39 minutes in a game that was a cupcake for them, just goes to show you how he's valued on this team right now. So I really like Daniel House moving forward. I think he could, with the kind of minutes, he can clear top 100 easily throughout this season. So, I'm still bullish on him.
Yes, sir.
Let's move on to I have the Toronto Raptors beating the Sacramento Kings 124-120. On the Kings side, Harrison Barnes led all scorers, 26 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, and a block. 7 of 15 shooting, 4 of 9 from deep, 8 of 10 at the stripe. Good on Harrison Barnes. It's Harrison Barnes. You don't really know on a day-to-day basis. It's kind of tough to figure out. But overall, a nice scoring night for him. Top 100-ish production from him, I suppose, would be fairly normal, I guess. But I don't expect 26 points on a nightly basis. The guys that we are most interested in, Buddy Hield, 21 points, 8 boards, steal and a block, 7 of 16 shooting, 2 of 2 from the stripe, and 5 of 7 from deep. It seems like he's getting his shooting stroke back. It was a really rocky start to the season for Buddy, but this line's encouraging. That's more along the lines of what you paid for Buddy when you started out. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come for him. De'Aaron Fox, 17 points, 9 assists, 7 boards, but a very ugly 7 turnovers. Stealing the block as well. He's also only 2 of 5 from the line. I'm getting a little concerned with Fox because, again, they're not running. They're not running like they used to. They're not getting up and down. I don't know if that's having an effect on his rhythm. I don't know if the new offense is kind of giving him struggles. But I've been seeing a lot of lines like this throughout the season. It doesn't seem like he's completely comfortable yet. So I'm getting a little concerned. Hopefully there's room for growth. Perhaps it's a buy low opportunity for a guy like Fox. But he's way too talented of a player to be producing like this. So hopefully there will be better times ahead. Bogdanovich, 22 points off the bench. 7 of 14 shooting, 6 of 11 from deep. Was really stroking it tonight. 2 steals as well, 3 assists, 2 rebounds at the same time. Our boy Richaun Holmes. I'm sorry, I'm jumping from the starters to the bench, but Richaun Holmes is definitely a starter. 8 points, 8 boards, 2 blocks, only 4 of 8 shooting for him. But a full 31 minutes. And while it wasn't his best night, he was in a bunch of foul trouble. 8 boards, 8 blocks, and 8 points, 8 boards, and 2 blocks on good shooting. You know what? That's a floor night for him, and that's still solid. And it seems like they are now committed to him to play, as their starting center while Bagley is out. Dedmon did get 17 minutes off the bench. Didn't do much with him, but he is now locked in. And again, we've been pounding the pavement for Richaun Holmes for quite some time, and now is the time that he is finally delivering. I'm sure he's scooped up in the majority of leagues, but again, if he's not and he's still available in yours, go get him now. Trevor Ariza played 17 minutes as well, 5 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal. Former top 100 guy, but just the minutes aren't there. Corey Joseph played 18 minutes as well. Decent scoring night, 10 points. 4 boards, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. So a pretty decent all-around night, but I just would not expect that kind of production to continue for him. Curt, anything you want to add on the Kings before we jump over to the Raps?
You nailed it, Josh. Just echo on the Richaun Holmes. Do not drop this guy. Pick him up if he's available. Do you want to hear about these Toronto Raptors?
Growl, sir. Give them to me.
Alrighty. So we got Pascal Siakam, another big night, 23 points, 13 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals on good shooting. Marc Gasol had one of his, I would say, better games, 12 points, at least for this season, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a 3. He's kind of tailing off this year. If he has a couple big games, I would try to trade him because he doesn't look good out there. He looks slow. He doesn't seem to fit. Lowry, his monster season continues with another 40-minute night, 24 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, 5 threes. Again, if you pick this guy where he was going oftentimes in round 4 or 5, you are just loving life. But like we've talked about before, the injuries are probably coming, and he's not usually there for your fantasy playoffs. So I would consider selling high. Fred VanVleet started the season with a monster game. He hasn't gotten up to those standards again, which is to be expected. 12 points, 5 assists, a steal, 2 threes. Off the bench, Serge Ibaka, 9 of 16 from the field and a 3 for 21 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals. Not a whole lot off the bench, even for you deep leaguers. The guy that I am the most intrigued about and bummed that I missed on was OG Anunoby. This guy, 37 minutes, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 threes, and 3 blocks. I think I mentioned it in an earlier pod, and I just want to correct the record. I wasn't saying that I think he could be most improved in real life, but in fantasy, I think he definitely has a shot at most improved. Currently, he's number 23 prior to this game. Number 23, 9-cat on a totals basis, and number 24 on a per-game basis, averaging 1.7 threes, 1.7 steals, 1.5 blocks. Those are insane numbers. I don't care if he does that and only scores 5 points a game. That guy's going to be an early round value if he can keep this up. And maybe he won't, but I am trying to buy this guy wherever I can because points are so overvalued. And since he's only averaging 11.8, a lot of people don't realize his fantasy value. Those of us, if you're listening to this podcast, you realize probably what his value is. But there's probably a decent chance that you're in a league with somebody who's like, oh man, he only scores 11.8 points a game. Like, you can probably steal this guy. I'd give it a shot. Josh, what did I miss?
You nailed it. That just a hot start that continues. He's locked into a secure role, for sure. Like, yeah, if you want to, like, I don't mind in his case, in OG's case, buying high either.
Yeah.
Because like he's still, I think his value statistically is such that, he is a top 25 player right now. But I don't think that the fantasy marketplace or even your league mates in general view him as a top 25 asset. So there might be a buy high opportunity because the truth of the matter is with a secure role and the stat set that he has, there's no reason why he can't keep going. Maybe not a top 25 level, but because he didn't have the cachet of some of the other top 25 guys or top 50 guys that were getting drafted this year, you might be able to say, like, hey, here's a struggling top 75 guy, that might have some crazy upside, and you might steal a guy that's just going to be solid for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
you never know.
And he has no name value, which really helps. I mean,
right.
If people, it's crazy how many people either overvalue points or name value. Like, you could maybe throw a guy out there like Marc Gasol, and he's got more name value. You might see that trade go through, which is ridiculous. I'd say it's unlikely, but this is a great opportunity here. And to preview our next game, Minnesota and Memphis, Josh, who would you rather have with similar style stat sets, OG Anunoby or Robert Covington?
Oh man, that's an interesting conundrum right there because right now you're right, very similar stat sets. One guy's proven, the other guy, oh man, that's a really tough call. I like this. That's a really great question. And right now, I would lean towards OG.
So would I.
Wow, that's a really interesting comparison right there because Rocco's been a top 30, top 40 guy year in and year out. I mean, he had the injury last year, and had a pretty secure role going into this year. But similar stat sets. That's a great comp right there. So well done, Curt.
Thanks, man.
And a lovely transition into our next game, the Grizzlies beating the Wolves 137 to 121. Might as well start with Covington. 13 points. And like you said, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He delivers those defensive percentages. He was 3 of 8 from deep, 5 of 11 from the floor. Added a couple boards as well. And again, you're looking at this and like OG, you're saying, oh, there's not a lot of points, only 13 points. But yeah, he made three threes. He chipped in 2 steals. He had 2 blocks. There were a couple boards, and usually he's better for boards than assists. He doesn't need to score a lot to drive that kind of value. And, he's been playing the power forward position this year. So different positional eligibility. So I still think that there's plenty of room for him to get better. He only played 26 minutes tonight as well. I would just, I got to hold on him. I think that's where I would be. Just hold on to him, see how things go. I think he's worth the capital that you spent on him early this year because he's a heck of a player. So just hang tight. The interesting line of the night belongs to not the guy who is returning from suspension, Karl Anthony Towns, who's the monster fantasy player.
It's your boy.
That is our boy. It's my boy. Yeah, no, this guy's my boy. Andrew Wiggins, 30 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, a block. I'm screeching now. I've gone from Barry White to I don't even know what. Just 11 of 21, 3 of 8 from deep. I'm going nuts right now. Look, this is a sell high opportunity. This is a sell, but here's all I'll say, and I'll caveat this. Yes, Andrew, this is as good as it gets for Andrew Wiggins. The points are always there. The percentages are not, and 11 to 21 is not going to be the norm for him. 5 of 8 from the free throw line, that kind of is the norm from him. That's not great. 6 assists are nice, and the defensive stats aren't always there, but he is kind of averaging close to a steal a night, so I'll give him that credit. But again, if you think you can find someone who, like me, is like, oh, hey, he's better, you see? Yeah, sell him. But at the same time, here's all I'll say, and this was really the only point that I was trying to make with my Wiggins hype, was that the pendulum swung too far for him. He's still young. He was still improving. He still had a very, very clear role and a lot of money from the Timberwolves. So he was always going to have the opportunity, and he flirted with top 100 value in the past. I felt there was no reason why he couldn't flirt with top 100 value again, and he was going practically undrafted in most drafts, or at the bottom of most drafts. So it's a little. So if you drafted him, and you decided, screw it, I could use the cheap points or whatever. Guess what? You have found money right now. You can sell that. That's found money. It's great, and that's why I was kind of preaching it early, And you got a great game out of him tonight. But let's get to Karl Anthony Towns, because he returned tonight for 25 points, 13 boards, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Only 8 of 19 from the floor and only 3 of 11 from deep. I guess, that crazy hot fire start kind of cooled off a little bit. But I would say, look, this is still obviously a solid line, but this is kind of a ho-hum Karl Anthony Towns line. This is kind of like a baseline for him, if you will, which isn't bad by any means. And that's what you expect out of like a top 5 pick, in your league. But, those eye-popping numbers like he had to start the season, maybe we need to dial back our expectations a little bit. But still, this is a line worthy of a top pick. Josh Okogie, 20 minutes in some spot duty, sharing some point guard duties with Jared Culver. Okogie, 7 points, 2 assists, 4 boards, and no defensive stats, 3 of 4 shooting. And Jared Culver, who got the spot start at point guard, 30 minutes, 15 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, also no defensive stats. I don't expect either one of these guys to really kind of continue at either pace. Okogie didn't have the best of games either. And Culver, again, it really got the nod with Jeff Teague out and Shabazz Napier out due to injury as well. These aren't things that are going to continue. I would just, again, monitor Jeff Teague's news. I think he'll be back soon. I don't think that his injury is particularly long-term. Off the bench, Trae Young Graham played 32 minutes, 10 points, a steal and a block, 6 boards, 4 assists. look, I know Graham from his Nets days. He's a great effort and energy guy, but I don't think that this will be the norm for him as well. Don't go spending your waiver dollars on him. Noah Vonleh had 16 minutes off the bench, 5 points, 4 boards, 4 assists. Again, same thing. Don't go nuts there. And Gorgie Jang, back to being relegated, 3 minutes. And that's it. 3 whopping minutes for the former top 50 player.
Poor Gorgie.
Poor Gorgie. All right, Curt, take it away from there.
Alrighty, all I have, Josh, is on Jarrett Culver. He had a lot of buzz coming into the season, and I think anyone who sees this line might think, let me race to pick him up. But like you said, Teague and Napier were out. Napier was a game-time decision. Teague was just sick. So this probably isn't going to happen a lot. Although, maybe he showed his coach something here today. So if you're in a deeper league, I probably wouldn't do it in a standard league unless you have some real trash with your last position. If you're in a 14, 16 teamer, you could take a flyer on him and see what happens. Maybe he impressed tonight and could keep that going. Anyway, on the Grizzlies side, Jaren Jackson Jr., a guy going in the 3rd round in a lot of drafts, continues to disappoint. 0 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, no steals, no blocks, no threes, 0 of 5 from the field. Only played 15 minutes. The thing with JJJ, which isn't shown here, is that he had a sore knee. There's some speculation that the sore knee could be contributing to his slow start. But kind of similar to Mitch Robb, he really struggles with fouls. Again, he had 3 tonight, but he only played 15 minutes. But he's been close to fouling out most games this season, and that's really been limiting him. He is a great buy low candidate, in my opinion. I can't see him returning that 3rd round value at his current, obviously not at his current pace, but he'd have to make some significant leaps to get into that kind of discussion. However, he's definitely a buy low candidate, so throw some offers out for him. Jay Crowder, 34 minutes, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 4 threes, and a block. So he's been low-key, kind of worth owning in some standard leagues this year. Deep leaguers, you should definitely have him. Jonas Valanciunas, his minutes cap slowly ramps up. He got 27 today. 10 points, 14 boards, 4 assists, no defensive stats, no threes. But we all know the pedigree with him. As these minutes continue to increase, he's going to be a great value. Ja Morant, for a rookie point guard who is, for rookie point guards in general who are known to struggle from the field, he had a good shooting night. 9 of 19 from the field. He chipped in 26 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, no defensive stats, 8 of 10 from the free throw line. I really don't even think he's hit his peak yet. So I think you can probably get him at a cheaper cost than where he might finish this season. Dylan Brooks, this is the interesting one to me. I've been seeing him put up some decent lines. Tonight, he led all scorers with 31, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 threes, a perfect 8 of 8 from the stripe, and 9 of 16 from the field in only 30 minutes. And we know Dylan Brooks, kind of like a Luke Kennard or Landry Shamet guy. Like he's usually your points and threes kind of specialist that you could pick up to stream for a week. This season, he's actually been worth owning in standard leagues, and you could maybe even make a case in some 10-team leagues. So far, prior to tonight, he averaged 29 minutes, 42 from the field, and 93% from the line, with 1.8 threes, 15 points, 4.5 rebounds, 1.8 assists, and 1.3 steals. And most of those numbers are going up after tonight. So his name's not very exciting, and I think a lot of people write him off, but he is absolutely a standard league guy right now. Brandon Clark, 22 minutes off the bench, a perfect 7 of 7 from the field for 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, also a perfect 4 of 4 from the stripe. No blocks this time or steals, but we know as soon as somebody in the front court gets hurt, Valanciunas, a tiny bit injury prone, Jaren Jackson, foul trouble, it's not going to take a big break for Brandon Clark to really surge up the rankings. He's worth having on your roster right now, even in 12-team leagues, and he doesn't need a lot to break his way to really emerge. If you own him, Don't drop him. I've seen him dropped in a couple places. Don't do that. Other guys off the bench. Let's see. Tyus Jones for your very deep leaguers. 8 points, 5 assists, a steal. Not much else. Other than that, Slow-Mo, his slow season continues. Not really worth picking up in most leagues. Josh, did I miss anything for the Grizzlies?
No, you're good. I'll only say just on Garen Jackson Jr. Yeah, he's definitely a buy low candidate, but I would just exercise caution because he's clearly not 100% right now, and I don't know what's going on with his knee. I'm sure the team knows better than we do, obviously. But I would want him to at least play some consistent minutes before I start trying to make some buy low offers for him. I mean, you risk that buy low window shutting, but he just doesn't look right now. And I don't know, and you never want to be in a situation where, the guy's knee is actually more hurt than he's letting on, and then he's shut down for several weeks. So we don't want that to happen. But I hear you. Like, there's better times ahead for Triple J. But just I would advise a little bit of injury caution on that because I think there is more than meets the eye.
Yes, sir.
Let's get into the Orlando Magic and the Dallas Mavericks, and we're going to talk about one of my absolute favorite players, one of my fantasy wild cards, and this is exactly why he was a fantasy wild card this year. Jonathan Isaac.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God. Jonathan Isaac was a steal away from having the 19th 5x5 game in NBA history. I think it was 19. I'm pretty sure that it would have been 19. But he came up short. But his line was 13 points, 10 boards, 5 assists, 6 blocks, and 4 steals. He was also 1 of 2 from deep. He was 5 of 8 from the floor. He was perfect from the stripe. He has been an absolute monster for this team. A monster. And this is one of those lines that is going to get everyone's attention. Obviously, he's owned, and he was a mid-round pick for a reason because everyone kind of knew what the tantalizing upside was with this kid. And boy, did he show it tonight. Just an absolute insane effort from him. And guess what? That vaults him up into the top 15 on a per game basis this year. That's how good that game was. He's had such an outstanding season so far. I know that there can be times where he gets a little bit frustrating because he doesn't deliver a lot of offense. Again, he also doesn't need to deliver a lot of offense because look what he can do on the defensive side. There's no one in the league like him. He's a freak, and if you own him, enjoy the ride. It's phenomenal. On the other side of that coin, Aaron Gordon led all scorers with 23 points. At least Magic scores with 23 points. 10 of 17 shooting. 1 of 5 from deep. 4 boards and assists and 2 steal. I think as much as I have love for Jonathan Isaac, I think everyone kind of knows my feelings towards Aaron Gordon. At least this kind of line didn't kill you in this one. But there are way too many poor shooting nights from Gordon. I just simply don't trust him. But he pretty solid night here, so I guess we can't complain too much. Nick Vucevic, 19 points, 11 boards, 7 assists, a steal and a block. 1 of 3 from deep, 7 of 15 shooting. Guys, get your buy low offers in now. It's going to slam shut at some point. Get buy low offers in now because this is a really good line for him. And it's one of those low-key lines because it wasn't 20 points. It's not like a big rebound night, but 7 assists might fly under the radar. The steal and the block might fly under the radar because he hasn't looked great to start the season. He admitted he hasn't been shooting the ball well, but he's going to get better, and he's going to deliver some monsters. So your buy low window might be closing soon, so get your offers in now. Markelle Fultz, 24 points, got the start, 5 of 10 shooting, 11 points. 2 assists, 2 boards, and 3 steals. Nice job with the 3 steals. Not a whole lot else. Again, his minutes are going to remain pretty capped. So not a whole lot of upside with him, but it is nice to see that he's still starting, carving out a solid role for him. And again, because he was just kind of a dart throw at the end of drafts, I think we're all kind of pretty pleased with that. And it's just a nice story. I'm glad that he's back and playing professional ball. And 28 minutes, only 3 of 5 shooting, 9 points, and an assist, a whole lot of nothing else. He fouled out as well, and I expected a bigger game from him only because there was no Terrence Ross tonight. But he only took 5 shots, was in foul trouble, and didn't do a whole lot else. DJ Augustin, 28 minutes off the bench for 13 points, 6 assists, 2 steals. To yo-yo between Fultz and Augustin isn't really worth it. I don't think either one are really that worth owning. I would lean more Fultz than I would Augustin. But, again, if you're desperate at the point guard position, you could do worse than DJ, for you late standard leaguers and deep leaguers as well. Michael Carter-Williams is still somehow in the league. He had 13 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. And not only is he still in the league, he's putting up pretty decent fantasy lines. Who knew? I sure didn't going into this podcast. So, Curt, anything you want to add on the Magic?
Oh, Josh, I just have to piggyback on that Jonathan Isaac take. Man, I'm just staring at this line, and this is such a juicy line. I don't care if he went out there and got 0 points tonight. 4 steals, 6 blocks, 10 rebounds. This is the kind of line that make fantasy owners salivate. You're talking, we were high when we were just talking about OG Anunoby. We were high on that. Oh my gosh, this guy makes him look.
It's a completely different animal altogether. It's crazy.
It's insane. And what is crazy, like you said, those numbers, I'm pretty sure that was before. I don't think it's factored into Yahoo standings yet. So even before this game, he was number 14th in 9cat on totals and number 26 per game. And this guy was going, oftentimes in round 6, maybe in competitive leagues round 5. Absolute steal. Everybody was so high on this guy last year, and he just didn't deliver. He got injuries. He wasn't getting the minutes he probably should. What a monster. And what is great about this is, again, like Anunoby, for casual NBA fans, they probably couldn't even tell you who Jonathan Isaac is. So if you're in a somewhat casual league, again, similar to Anunoby, because he doesn't score a lot, you can probably get this guy cheaper than the elite, completely elite level he is playing at right now. That's all I got, Josh.
I dig it, man. Give me the Maverick.
The Mavericks, man. I feel like this team continues to be a 2-person team, and it's the same guys. Luka Doncic, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, a 3. He didn't get you defensive stats today, turned the ball over 6 times, but he's performing very well this season. Kristaps Porzingis, kind of an off night. 10 points, 8 rebounds and assists, no blocks, only 1 3, and 4 of 14 from the field, but he still played 34 minutes. Nothing to be concerned about here, just an off-shooting night. Dwight Powell is ramping up in a hurry. He's up to 34 minutes already, with 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. He's not going to pop off the page, but especially in Roto, he's a great guy to have. In head-to-head, he's still a decent guy to own. Let's see. Dorian Finney-Smith started, didn't do a whole lot. Seth Curry played 7 minutes for not much else. Where's our guy, DeLon Wright? Ooh. I'll have to look this up. Did DeLon get hurt or something tonight? He only played 13 minutes. 0 points, 0 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 0 threes. Again, this guy, he's sneaky good. And his stat set doesn't normally jump off the page. This is definitely him bottoming out. And we'll have to look to see if he was injured or what was the case today. But there were already lots of drop questions on this guy. You're going to see him hit the wire in some leagues. And I think he's worth picking up. Other than that, Maxi Kleber had an all-right line in 20 minutes. Tim Hardaway, pretty much a threes and points specialist. And really, that's all I have on the Mavs. Kind of usual suspects. What do you got, Josh?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in the Daylon Wright news. I think it just might have been just an absolutely lousy game. Because he had been playing on not too terribly, but this is also a bit of a concern. Is that Rick Carlisle kind of he can be a little bit all over the map sometimes as well. He just kind of falls in love with guys like Jalen Brunson or Dorian Finney-Smith here and there, and then you're like and then you're like, what, Daylon Wright is still on this team and he's still really good.
Yeah.
And just sometimes you need to deal with some of these kinds of hiccups. So yeah, his value took a bit of a hit, and I think this is one of those things, like, everyone's like, should I drop him? Should I this? Like, the answer is no, you really shouldn't, but you may have to prepare for life where you get some good games and you get some bad games. So so this is one of those things where if you're in Roto, do not drop him under any circumstances. If you're in head-to-head, depending on your league, I get it. I wouldn't do it, but I kind of get it. So I think that's going to be the big difference with him this year. So let's truck through and hit the finish line. We got 2 more games to get through. The Utah Jazz beat the Sixers. The Sixers, as they head west, they were undefeated. Now that they're west, they've now lost 2 in a row. Go figure. Joel Embiid returned. 27 points, 16 boards, a pretty poor shooting night for him, only 5 to 16 from the floor, but he was great at the line, 16 of 18, 3 assists, 2 blocks as well. The news of the night was Ben Simmons left this game with a shoulder injury. It sounds like a sprained AC joint. We're not really sure on what that might do. But obviously, in sharing the box score, he only had 2 points, a board, 2 assists, and a steal. You're not really going to look at that and say, oh, he had a lousy game. It was his shoulder injury. And if you want to look towards, what happened as where you might recoup some value, if Simmons were to miss time, was Raul Neto played 30 minutes off the bench. He scored 11 points, had 4 assists, 3 steals as well, 5 of 11 from the floor. So, yeah, like, depending on if there's any sort of missed time for Simmons, definitely look to Neto, because it seems like he's going to, like, slide into that starting point guard role. Josh Richardson had himself a nice night, because I'm sure he'll get some ball handling duties, and he's been struggling with the shot. He certainly didn't tonight. 8 of 13 from the floor, 24 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals. I know he's still valuable in fantasy leagues. I saw his DFS value hit rock bottom. But so this was a nice little buy low for you DFSers out there. But if anyone is concerned about Richardson, I would say he's a buy as well. He's solid. He just needed to find his shot a bit, and I'm sure he started to find it tonight. Tobias Harris, 16 points, 7 boards, 3 assists. No defensive stats to speak of, and only 4 of 11 from the floor. Not the best night for Tobias Harris. Not the worst either, but better nights ahead for him. And Al Horford, 29 minutes, a lousy overall game for him. I'm sure that Embiid's return kind of like put a dent into this game, but it was just a really poor shooting night. 3 of 14, only 1 of 4 from deep, 7 points. At least the defensive stats were there. He had 2 steals and a block, 4 boards, 2 assists as well. Look, we know Horford can do it across a lot of categories. Just the shooting was not there tonight. I'm sure he'll be back in other forms. Again, this bench isn't really all that great. Matisse Thybulle, no defensive stats tonight. So, that there's going to be games where, defensive stats, like, as great a defensive player as he is, defensive stats are hard to rack up. So I can't imagine that, he's going to be able to do that consistently if he's only going to get 13 minutes, which he got tonight. So if you picked him up thinking like, hey, I need a steal streamer or a block streamer, I don't know that that's always going to work out for you. So it's a little buyer beware there. Definitely hang on to him in deep in dynasty leagues though. And frickin' Korkmaz, 2 of 4 from deep. Again, don't look to him as anything more than a 3-point streamer, even though he got 25 minutes tonight. Curt, what else you got for me?
All I got is on that Matisse Thybulle. He's sexy because of those steals and blocks potential, and we know like it could be legendary numbers, but with his minutes usually being 20 or less, they can come and go as we see tonight. So he's probably not a standard league guy unless you're really, really hoping for a boost in steals and blocks. I could see him being your last guy. Otherwise, he's probably more of a 14, 16 teamer. Yeah. You want to hear about the Jazz?
Do it up, my man.
All right, buddy. So Rudy Gobert, he's had a little bit of a slow start to the season. He went for 14 and 16 tonight with 3 assists, 3 steals, and a block. He fouled out, but still played 36 minutes. You're hoping for more blocks for a guy that you took in the second round. Maybe they'll come back, but I heard Aaron Brewski talking about Gobert, and he thinks he's going to have a pretty significant drop-off this year. He didn't peg him as a top 2 round kind of guy. He pegged him as maybe somewhere in the top 40. So that makes me a little hesitant on the buy low offers. Royce O'Neal, not a standard league guy, maybe 14, 6-teamers. You could look to him just because he's starting and getting minutes. But he doesn't do a ton across the stat sheet. He did get you a 111 today with a few other stats. Bojan Bogdanovic shot 9 of 18, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, a block, 2 threes. He's having a decent season. Mike Conley, he's been up and down. He's one of the biggest buy low candidates of the year. But today, he had an okay line. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block, and a 3. I think better times are ahead if you own Mike Conley. Still somewhat of a buy low because owners probably aren't super confident that he's going to string this together on a night-to-night basis. Donnie Mitch had 24 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, a steal, a 3. Just a regular night at the office for Donnie. Smoking Joe Ingles had 16 points with 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 threes off the bench. One of his better lines of the year. If you're looking at somebody from the Jazz bench, he's probably the guy. But his minutes have been a little up and down, so you're going to have to take the good and the bad. It should balance out in the end, kind of like a guy like Danny Green. You don't want to look at him on a night-to-night basis. Tonight was a good night, but it's not always going to be that way. Other than that, I don't really see a whole lot here worth mentioning. Do you, Josh?
No, I think this has been kind of par for the course for the Jazz. I think I like Smoking Joe as a buy low guy because he's got a pretty secure role. We know we love him here at Hoop Ball, but it's been a little erratic to start the season, so maybe he's getting the cobwebs out a little bit. Mike Conley, it's been a rough start, but we'll continue to buy the track record on him and go from there. So we are not quite at final yet on the Milwaukee LA Clippers game, and it's currently, as of this moment, 117 to 110. Now 119 to 110 in favor of the Bucks. There's 3 minutes to go in the fourth. We'll go through the box score again, knowing that there might be a little bit of change, but at the same time, I can't imagine there's going to be a whole lot of difference with 3 minutes to go in the game. But Giannis is flirting with a triple-double. He may get it before the game is out. 34 points, 14 boards, 9 assists. The defensive stats are there: 2 steals and a block on 10 of 21 shooting, and of note, 10 of 12 at the stripe. He needed that badly. That's good. So this is that full line that Giannis owners were really hoping for, especially without putting some of those free throw shooting woes behind him. At the same time, Eric Bledsoe, 18 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. He's had a pretty nice run recently, returning some value. It seems like his injury woes are pretty behind him. Brook Lopez, double-double, 11 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, a steal, and 6 blocks. Guess what, guys? These are the kinds of Brook Lopez lines that'll sneak up and get you. 6 blocks. That's nice. 0 of 3 from deep. But again, we know he's capable from outside. We know he's going to get the green light. But we are not going to be upset at this line at all. Solid job from Brook Lopez. Chris Middleton, 11 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals. Not a great shooting night for him, so that kind of depresses things. And Wes Matthews, scoreless. 0 of 2 from the field. 3-point specialist. He just didn't have it tonight. George Hill, 22 minutes off the bench for 22 points. I was right the first time. Two boards and a steal as well. He's not a bad streamer. Again, he's got a pretty solid role. He's their main bench guy, and he can deliver some counting stats. And there's no one else on this bench really worth talking about. Kyle Korver had 14 points, but just no, don't pick him up. It was all from his 3-point shooting. Maybe if you need 3-point streaming for Roto, but I wouldn't go buying that. Curt, anything else before we move on to the Clippers side?
The only thing I got is Eric Bledsoe, who was one of the more frustrating guys to own this year and to start the season. I think the buy low window on him is probably closed. He had a really solid game the other night, and tonight with 18 and 4 threes, solid across the stat line. And he did that in only 24 minutes so far. Like I said, still 2.5 minutes left, but I think the buy low window is closed on him. So if you got him, congratulations. If you didn't, better luck next time. As for the Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi Leonard sitting out tonight. You knew it was going to happen. Paul George, we got news today that his return is on the horizon. We know he finished in, I think, the top 3 last year, and almost all of his numbers were career numbers, so don't expect that to happen, especially, again, playing alongside a guy like Kawhi Leonard and coming off 2 shoulder surgeries. However, I'm throwing out buy low offers for him, which might sound crazy on a guy that's injured and coming off 2 shoulder injuries. But I'm sending out like 3rd-round picks, 4th-round picks in some areas, packaging him with a hot free agent like a PJ Washington or, a Trae Young Graham. Seeing if I can scoop him up somehow before he returns. Probably not going to happen, but it's something that you guys could try to do. So pretty crazy here. Lou Williams, regular 6th Man of the Year candidate, started in this game, and also so did Montrezl Harrell. We'll go with Harrell. He played 37 minutes for 33 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block, 13 of 25 from the field, 7 of 10 from the free throw line. And this game still has about 2 minutes to go. So monster game from Harrell. This could be his best line of the season. In fact, I'd say it probably will be. Lou Williams, 31 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 threes, 12 of 13 from the free throw line. That is great. Not so great, 8 of 25 from the field. Landry Shamet, we know the case with him. Threes, not much else. So 3 threes, 11 points. Patrick Patterson started for 13 minutes, at least at the time of our recording. Didn't do a whole lot else. Off the bench, we had JaMychal Green go for 7 and 7 and 2 threes. He's more of like a 16-teamer, maybe 14-teamer. Mo Harkless has had some solid games this year. Not really doing it tonight. 1 point, 1 block, 3 rebounds. And really, that is about it. Don't put too much stock into this in the fact that Kawhi Leonard's out and Paul George isn't back yet. There's going to be some growing pains and adjustments once PG comes back. Josh, what do you got on these clips?
What you said. Kawhi's out. Paul George is going to be back soon. Nice night for Harrell, but that's not going to be the norm. And there's really not a whole lot else on this team. So it'll be interesting to see how all the usage and the stats get distributed once those 2 guys are fully healthy and fully loaded. So we will see what happens. So it is currently 123-116 in favor of the Bucks. Again, I'm not expecting a whole lot else to change statistically speaking. So why don't we put a bow on this, Curt?
Let's do it.
Guys, this has been the Box Score Breakdown. We hope you enjoy it. Again, we love running through the numbers, giving you some insight, telling you what they mean. Remember, you got to dig through the numbers. You got to see what the data says in addition to what your eyes and ears tell you. This has been a Hoop Ball presentation. If you like what you're hearing, leave us a review. Go check it. Give us a 5-star review. Don't criticize my voice, please. I beg of you. This is just flu-like symptoms. I'll be back to normal next week. And if you want to hit us up on Twitter, I am at Josh Millman. Curt?
You can find me at Captain Canegas, CaptCainegis. Hit us up with your questions, your ads, your drops. That's probably where you can get the quickest feedback from us. And also, let us know how you think we're doing. We are very curious to know what your feedback is. So if you're a regular listener, you're hearing me and Josh every Wednesday, you like us, you're hating us, you have things that you think we could do better, guys that we're leaving out, please let us know. We want to do the best we can to serve you guys.
Absolutely. All right, Hoopballers, good night until next week. Hope you enjoyed the box score breakdown.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.